pedal is like American Psycho, like baby blue and conventional on the front, but really messed up inside and completely unbalanced, sometimes cold and distant and you can't get anything back from it. And the other times it's chasing you with a knife and slapping you with a fish in the face. It's like it's not like settled in any way. So I think it's like, if I was going to call this pedal, I wouldn't call it classic optical envelope. I'd call it American Psycho. Just contact Brett Easton Ellis, get the rights, and just call it American Psycho. And then that would capture what's going on inside the pedal. Because this is a very difficult pedal to get a good sound out of. I don't know, like, it looks nice. I think the color's good. And I think it's cool how they've designed it where you can go through with a foot switch and select and run through high pass, band pass, and low pass. I think that's clever, and I haven't seen that on a pedal. That's why I got the pedal, because I like the idea of being able to click through the different modes. Yes, you can get some good sounds out of it. You can even get some great sounds out of it, but not, you can't get them just easily. You know, or sometimes you can't even get them even if you work really hard. I think we worked really hard to get some good tones. And we got some okay tones. The other day we got some fantastic tones. I don't even know how that was. Obviously affected by the signal chain. Might have been I had a different setting on my baritone, or had a very specific setup tonally and through my baritone, my pickup selector. But for some reason, when we first opened it up, it sounded fantastic. We got some really amazing sounds out of it, and at that point I couldn't imagine, wanting to return it. But the next session and the session after that, we weren't able to get any sound. It sounded worse than this. This one was like not very good, but some okay sounds we managed to get out of it. Last session we weren't able to get a decent sound, were we? It sounded just very thin, and
you've got to really search for good sound.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
It does have some really nice sweet spots, but you've got to really search for them, and then you can't move from there, and you can't really play anything too varied from what you were playing when you got your sweet spot.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you find a sweet spot, that sweet spot, if you play a lick on the upper frets, on the top three high top strings, if you play up here something and you've got a great setting, it's not going to sound good down here. Or if you play single notes and it sounds fantastic, it's not going to sound good with movable shapes or chords, or something more harmonically rich. So whatever you're playing, even if you get the perfect sweet spot for that, unless you stay in that playing range, you're going to have to change the settings, and then it's going to be very hard for you to find the settings again, because we actually can't find the original really good settings from the other day.
The other thing I'd say that really is noticeable about it is the top right hand knob is the drive pedal, and it's kind of like you turn it from 0 to get to about maybe 11 o'clock on it, and it's like nothing, and then it's such a small sweep between 11 o'clock and say 1 o'clock, and it's such a dramatic change. And then you're kind of into no man's land where it's just too piercing and shrill, or nothing.
Or there was some real rumbly stuff that I couldn't even hear my signal. Like I couldn't even hear what I was playing. It was just like this like there was just like some rumbling, and that was my playing. And you could barely even hear that I was playing anything. There's some kind of very vague rumbling bassy tones. Do you remember that? Was that this session or the last session?
This one.
Yeah. I was thinking even that maybe I just don't like analog envelope followers, because they're very uneven. So you have real strong sense of the envelope when you're playing certain passages, and then when you're playing on the lower strings, it sort of goes away into even this one did it. Like this one was nice and it sounded good, but when you did certain passages, it wasn't as audible as other passages on the higher strings, so it wasn't as even as I would have liked. I know it's a dynamic envelope follower. Maybe I'm not actually into dynamic envelope followers that respond to your pick attack, because maybe I just want it more even, and I don't want the presence or the absence of the envelope to be determined by my picking attack. But sometimes I want to pick slowly or softly, but I still want the envelope as audible as when I pick harshly. I don't necessarily want the harshness of my picking to reflect the presence or absence of the envelope. And that's what a dynamic envelope follower is. And I don't even know if I actually like that. And I was looking at an envelope follower that sounded really good to me, and I was going to buy it. It was the Source Audio envelope, and it's quite big. Like I couldn't fit it on my board anyway. It was digital, so it seemed very even when it was being played on demos. It seemed extremely even. I think it's to do with the fact that it in fact is digital. Whereas analog envelope followers, I've noticed, they're either all there or not much. And it's very difficult to find an envelope follower that actually follows you through the paces of your playing, whether you're on the lower strings or the higher strings or whatever you're doing, that actually is present and follows you. So there's that. I don't think I like dynamic envelope followers really. And I don't think I prefer analog envelope followers. I think I might prefer even digital ones. I was actually thinking of getting a cheap Mill one because it sounded good on a demo, and just seeing whether it's any good. It's actually the size of the Robert Keeley one, so I was thinking about that. That might be a total flop too. But yeah, there's the issue of dynamic envelope followers, whether you like dynamics or not, whether you want the harshness of your picking to reflect the presence or absence of the envelope. Yes, they do sound more 3D, the analog envelope followers, but they sound kind of muddy to me. Like I said, if I was, this is dead now, so I can't show you, but if you listen to Needle to Jump, then all the envelope followers in that are just this pedal. So this is better, I think, than the Carl Martin one. I think if you want to get an envelope follower, I think they're about the same amount of money. Price is about the same. This one's better. And it's also smaller. I prefer this, I do. This is dynamic, and yes, it's analog, but it does sound very good. And if I was gonna get a dynamic analog envelope follower, I'd get this one. This is the one I would get. If I was gonna get a dynamic and an analog one, I would get this one back.
It sounded better when the drive was in front of it.
Yeah, we put the drive in front of it, and I think it sounded, I know it's wrong to put a drive in front of an envelope, but you know, you experiment, try different things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I know the correct pedal chain order is envelope first and overdrive that follows. I know all that, but we thought we'd try a situation where we put the drive in front of it because we weren't getting enough of a quack, so we thought we might push the envelope, so to speak, and get more of a quack, but we got, I guess the only way I can describe the sound of this pedal is a big long string of soggy cheese. It's very kind of soggy, it's very thin, it's very rubbery sound, and it's not even. It can get really thin and really squidgy, kind of shrill and squidgy, and very narrow. Then it can get quite wide and also very shrill across the whole frequency range. It can get extremely boomy. At times, when I was playing, I thought, oh, it's like I'm standing outside a big concert in a car park and I can just hear the rumble of the bass. And that was my playing. I couldn't even hear what I was playing so much, but just the rumble. And the other times it was just in your face, full treble, full steam ahead with treble, very shrill, ear fatiguing, you know. I haven't got a coil split on this guitar. Maybe it would have been better with single coils. I know that humbuckers can push everything just that bit harder, so we may be pushing it too hard. But actually, because it has a drive knob, putting down the drive knob should, I'm assuming, compensate for that overdriven envelope sound that can be harsh and unpleasant. But the drive, it's got a lot of control on the one hand. You've got tone, you've got cue, you've got drive, and you've got amount, is that right?
Volume.
Mix, like volume.
Volume.
Like trim fail just then. I don't know. Anyway, yes, unfortunately we weren't able to get any good sounds out of it. Like I said, the first play I had of it, I got some great sounds out of it that I was really happy with, and I just fell in love with the pedal immediately. I don't know where those sounds went. I don't know what happened. I'm on a I'm on a Veritone setting of 4. I succeeded. I disengaged my Veritone by putting it on setting 1, so the Veritone of my Lucille was disengaged. I played it mainly on both pickups, but I also had some, I think I played the neck at one point. It was a very long demo. But mainly I was on 2 pickups. I tried different tones on my tone knobs. Nothing seemed to work. So we gave it, I think, about good 2 hours, would you say? Okay, call me ignorant, but it's an optical envelope, right? So then I thought maybe it didn't get enough light. It's very dark in Glasgow. Maybe it didn't get enough light. Maybe it needs light. You know, it's an optical envelope.
Photosynthesis, like a plant.
Yeah, it needs light. So maybe, and think about this, right? Because when we tried it the other day, no, it was dark then too, because it was waiting outside.
It was like an abandoned child, wasn't it?
It was dropped off like an abandoned child, and they didn't even buzz the doorknob, but it was sitting outside in the cold. Maybe, I got a theory. What happened was this. It was down in the cold the whole time because it's Danish, it's familiar with the really cold weather, so it's really cold. And when we got it here, it played really well because it's used to, like, it thinks it's in Daneland.
Does that even exist?
Daneland, yeah, the Danish from Daneland.
Uh-huh.
So it thinks it's in Daneland because it's cold. So it feels really familiar with its own environment, it thinks. So it plays really optimally. You know how they say the soccer players, they play better in their own country? Because it thought it was in Daneland still, because it was really cold, because it was left outside. For hours, for all day it was outside. It was at the foot of it was in the foyer, but it's really cold down there because there's no heating, right? Isn't there? So it was cold all day long. Came here, performed as though it was in his home turf Daneland, right? Performed really well, realised that it's not in Daneland, it's in Glasgow. And now it's depressed, it's got migration syndrome. It doesn't want to be in Glasgow. It thinks it's depressing, it thinks whatever. I don't know what it thinks. It's hard to communicate with pedals. You know, I'm not the pedal whisperer or anything like that, so I don't know what it's actually saying. But I think it's depressed. I think it's clinically depressed and it can't function. And it's tried. When it thought it was in Daneland, it was doing well. I think it's just missing home. Maybe it also has seasonality disorder. So it really can't deliver. So maybe it's nothing to do with its, you know, actual abilities. It's just depressed, like a person. Like, nothing to do with their abilities, but if they're depressed, they'll underperform. You know? I don't know. So, yeah. It doesn't totally suck, the Carl Martin one, but I wouldn't buy it. But then again, you know, an important thing to consider, just because I'm saying something sucks, it doesn't actually mean that it sucks, because it sucks on my guitar. It sucks with my playing. It sucks with my gear. It sucks with my electricity, the power I have running through this place. So I've said a lot of things suck. And this is just we should upload this as a separate thing. That just because I say something sucks, and it may suck for me, and I'm honest, because if I say it does suck for me. It doesn't mean it's going to suck for you, because you might have single coils. You might have active pickups. You might have a different type of wood on your guitar. Your guitar might be a different style and shape. Your playing might be different. Your power and your running through your house might be of a different quality. Your gear that you're running that through is different. Your sound card, your computer, all that stuff. So, and another thing is, even if you had all my gear and if you had everything that I'm running through, you're a different person, so you might perceive it differently. So even the same sound that I think is horrible, someone else might think, oh, that's great. Look at bands. Look how many bands I think they suck. And obviously, a lot of people disagree. And a lot of bands that I like, a lot of people think they suck. And we're hearing the same thing. But we've got different ears and different perceptions. So that's the caveat I have to place on all of my opinions. That yes, they are my opinions, but they don't necessarily apply to you. So that's important. So this envelope follower, and I know a lot of these pedals, another thing is they're designed, like I was hearing Robert Killian interview, that he designs his pedals for a certain amp. They were saying, I can't remember whether like Fender versus Marshall or something, that if you played on the other kind of amp that he didn't test it on. Because obviously these guys test their pedals on some sort of amp. And it's not going to sound good on every amp. So they've got to kind of choose, okay, what amp is going to be my standard for testing? And if it sounds good on the amp, I'm going to release it. So a lot of these pedals are based on, you know, the premise of a certain amp. So I just want to say, if something sucks, you know, it may not suck at all for you. But yeah, I think this pedal doesn't fully suck, but I wouldn't buy it, and I'm not going to keep it. It's not complete crap at all. You can get some good sounds out of it, but I'm too impatient and my playing is too dynamic to get the full use out of it. But I wouldn't say it's crap. If I was going to give it out of 10, I think I'd give it a 3.5 or a 4.
On a purely aesthetic note, it's got a very nice old school,
it's lovely looking.
Charm to it.
Oh yeah, for aesthetics, I give it like a 7. It's a very nice looking pedal. I love the color. I love the 2 foot switches. And for innovation, I don't know many envelope followers where you can foot switch your way through high pass, low pass, and band pass. I don't know, actually, I can't think of one. There probably are some, but I can't think of one. So it is a rare feature. So for innovation in that area and the aesthetics, and I think it feels like it's well built, doesn't it?
It's quality.
Like it's quality. I just think for my setup, I think Lucille is just a very angry, frustrated lady, and she's just spits everything out at me, and she doesn't like a lot of things. Like, you know, I even had another guitar here, and she got so jealous she cursed her out of here. So really, she's very fussy about the equipment that she'll play with. She does not play nicely with others at all times. And this is another sacrificial lamb for Lucille. It's going to go to the slaughter because Lucille says so.